Welcome to Red Recaps. For today's video, we're going to explain one of the few movies that has received praise in the eyes of the horror community. Make sure to watch until the end to reveal to your mind the biggest movie plot twist that you will ever see. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The movie begins with horrifying footage depicting a family of four standing beneath a tree with hoods over their heads and nooses around their necks. An unseen figure saws and slowly cuts through a branch of a tree, acting as a counterweight, causing them all to be hanged. Then the scene changes to a man moving into a new house with his family. True crime writer Ellison Oswalt, Ethan Hawke, also famous for his hit-published book Kentucky Blood, moves into the murdered family's home with his wife, Tracy, Juliet Rylance, and their two children named Ashley, Claire Foley, Trevor, Michael Hall, Daddario, who begins re-experiencing bizarre night terrors upon moving into the new home. Also, the two children are adjusting to their new home. As the couple works, the town sheriff visits them. Sheriff said that Ellison's last true crime book had caused a criminal to be set free. The sheriff does not want Ellison to cause the same scene in the town, so he advises him to leave. Ellison, however, disagrees. Tracy suspects that Ellison has bought a home near a crime scene again. She asks him, but Ellison lies and says no. However, Ellison chose this home because it is the house that the murders we saw at the beginning of the movie occurred in. A family named Stevenson lived in the house a few years ago. One day, they were found hanging from a tree in their backyard. However, the youngest daughter of the family, Stephanie, disappeared after the event. It was given that only Ellison is aware that the house they are moving into was the actual crime scene. Ellison intends to use the murders as the basis for his new book, and hopes that his research will turn up the fate of the family's fifth member, a little girl named Stephanie who disappeared following the murders. Afterward, Ellison goes to the kitchen. In fascination, he stares at the tree the family was hung on. While in the attic to place some belongings, he sees a singular box on the floor. He opens the box to find several reels and a projector to play the reels in. The reels have events from different years marked on them. He takes the box with him with the intention of investigating it later. At dinner that night, Tracy complains to Ellison about the negative of his books on the kids. His work is too graphic for the kids to read, so she wants to always lock the door to his office. Later, as she is about to go to sleep, Tracy asks Ellison to consider writing something other than true crime, but Ellison insists his next book will be a hit. His last two books have flopped, so Tracy is worried about him. Using all of his gathered information and the box he found in the attic, which contains a projector, and several reels of standard 8mm footage that are each labeled as if they were innocent home-themed movies. Watching the films, Ellison discovers that they are snuff movies depicting families being murdered in gruesome ways. When he watched the first reel using the projector and a white cloth, the first film is titled Family Hanging Out 11. The film is about the Stevenson family hanging out in their backyard. They all play with each other and look happy. The person filming the scene is not seen in the film. Suddenly, the scene changes to the four Stevenson family members being hung to the tree they were playing around. Ellison is shocked. As expected, Stephanie is present through the fun part, but is missing in the last scene of the reel. Ellison noted it on his notepad and went to the backyard to look at the tree. When he comes back to the house, he finds his daughter Ashley wandering around the house looking for the bathroom. He helps her. While sending his daughter to her room, helping her to sleep, Ellison promised to his daughter that he will make a book that everyone will love to read. Then Ellison resumes working. He puts the next reel. It is titled Barbecue 79. This film shows another family, the Martinez family, fishing by a lake near their house. They also have a barbecue picnic beside. It is all fun and games, but suddenly the clip changes. It is now nighttime. The cameraman shows the family gagged and tied inside their car. The car hood has a demonic symbol painted on it. The family lies beside several bottles of gasoline. The cameraman lights the car on fire, killing the whole family. Ellison was about to watch the next reel when a noise from outside distracts him. He goes out to check it but finds no one. Then he suddenly realizes that the noise is coming from one of the moving boxes. Just then, Trevor comes out of the box yelling, having bizarre nightmares. The next day, he continued to watch the films. Ellison gets back to work. He plays the reel he stopped at last night. The reel is named Pool Party 66. In the film, a family is at their pool playing and enjoying themselves. The scene abruptly changes and it is now nighttime. A green substance is seen inside the glass they were drinking from earlier. Then we see the family tied to pool benches. The benches have ropes tied onto them. Someone pulls the ropes, making them drown in the pool. The drowning film proves especially disturbing for Ellison after he notices a demonic figure watching the drownings from the bottom of the pool before turning to look at the camera. All of a sudden, the projector caught fire, and he eventually searched on how to edit Super 8 films. Tracy and the kids went home. Furious, Tracy tells Ellison that Trevor had drawn people hanging on a tree on a whiteboard. Tracy blames Ellison's books, and they argue. Ellison goes back to work to continue the reels. The next one is titled Sleepy Time 98. First, Ellison sees an empty kitchen with glass containing the same green substance from the Pool Party 66 video. Then he sees the demonic symbol again. The cameraman goes to a room where a couple is bound on a bed. Then the cameraman cuts their throat open. The cameraman enters the other room and does the same to a kid. Ellison zooms into a part of the video and finds an address. With that information, he manages to find the case file on the internet. The news from the file said that the youngest kid of the family had gone missing after the incident. The similarity between this case and Stevenson's case astounds Ellison. Suddenly, the lights go off. He again hears noises. He discovers that the noise comes from the attic. He climbs up and looks around the surroundings using his phone's flashlight. Ellison finds a board with drawings that seem to be made by kids. In them, all of the murders he has watched so far are depicted. Strangely, a figure called Mr. Boogie is in every drawing. The attic floors are weak, so when Ellison moves, it breaks, sending him down to the floor. It is almost morning. The police arrive at the house as Ellison claims that there was an intruder. His leg is hurt from the fall. The officer suspects that the noises were made by squirrels as there were no signs of invasion. The officer, James Ransone, is Ellison's fan. He tells him of his wish to be included in the acknowledgement part of his new book. Ellison asks him for help. He wants the deputy to provide reports of the murders to him. The deputy agrees and leaves. When Ellison uses his taken pictures from the drawings he found in the attic, as he watches the reels again, Ellison makes a surprising revelation in every video. A tall figure stands in the background. Its face does not look human. The deputy calls him. He gives Ellison the name and address of one of the families in the video. Ellison discovered that the murders took place at different times in different cities across the country. Then he finds out that the Stevenson family lived in the house where the Miller family were murdered before moving to Pennsylvania. After the call, Ellison finds a video he had accidentally recorded when he fell from the attic. He is stunned and terrified to see several hands pushing him down. He quickly shuts the laptop. Later that night, a noise wakes Ellison. He goes to his office to check and finds the projector playing the Stevenson family hanging video. He turns it off. Then he watches the tree in the backyard through the window. Suddenly, the figure from the video appears in the backyard, but disappears on second glance. Ellison goes out and sees Trevor having another night terror behind the bushes. After bringing Trevor inside, Ellison goes out again when a dog appears before him. While he is distracted by the dog, it is seen behind Ellison the missing children of all the families that were murdered standing behind Ellison. However, he did not notice them. As disturbing things continue to happen to the family, particularly Trevor's nightmare episodes, Tracy begged for Ellison to drop the book and discontinue what he had started, but he refuses as he tells his wife that this shot could be bigger from his previous works. Consulting a local deputy, Ellison discovered that the murders depicted in the films took place at different times, beginning in the 1960s, and in different cities across the country. He also learns that the families were all drugged before being killed, and that a child from each family went missing following each murder. The deputy refers Ellison to a local professor, Jonas Vincent D'Onofrio, whose expertise is the occult and demonic phenomena, to decipher the symbol in the films. Jonas tells Ellison that the symbols are that of a pagan deity named Bugol, who would kill entire families so that he could take their children into his realm and consume their souls. Ellison heard his wife scolding Ashley for painting something, only to find out that the painting was Stephanie. He was stunned as he saw the painting and told everything to his wife. He woke up from the sudden realization that someone was filming him while he was asleep. He went outside his room. He hears the film projector running and goes up in the attic. He went out there. He found the missing children in various states of decay watching one of the disturbing films. Bagul suddenly appears on camera before physically appearing before Ellison. Ellison takes the camera and the films to the backyard and burns them. Then he immediately wakes his family to tell them that they're moving back to their old house. At his old home, Ellison receives a message from Professor Jonas, who sends him scans of historical drawings associated with Bagul. Each had been partially destroyed because ancient cultures believed that Bagul lived within the images, and that they acted as portals between his realm and the mortal world. Ellison then discovers the projector and films in his attic, along with a new envelope of film labeled Extended Endings. During this time, the deputy tries calling several times, but Ellison never answers. The next time the deputy calls, while Ellison is assembling the films, he answers. The deputy informs him that he has discovered a link between each of the murders. Every family had previously lived in the house where the last murder took place, and each new murder occurred shortly after the family moved into their new residence. By moving back to his old home after living at the site of the previous murders, Ellison had placed himself and his family in line to be the next victims. Ellison then watches the footage of the extended endings that he got. He finds that it depicts the missing children coming on screen following each murder, revealing themselves to be the killers before suddenly disappearing. Before he can react, Ellison becomes lightheaded. Inspecting his coffee cup, he finds a note reading, "Good night, Daddy," and a green liquid inside the cup before losing consciousness. Ellison awakens to find himself, his wife, and his son bound and gagged. Ashley approaches holding the 8mm camera and promises him that she will make him famous again. Ashley then proceeds to murder her family with an axe, using their blood to paint images of cats, dogs, and unicorns on the walls. Her work complete, Ashley adds a new drawing to their box lid, complete with the drawing of Mr. Boogie. She views the Super 8 film of her murders, which concludes with an image of the missing children watching her. Bagul appears, green blood covering his hands, causing the children to flee. He lifts Ashley into his arms and disappears into the film with her. The film concludes with an image of the box of films in the Oswald's family attic, now accompanied by a reel labeled House Painting 12. Bagul suddenly appears, warning that the viewers are next. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave comments regarding your thoughts about the movie. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get notified for our next upload. If you'd like to watch the movie, check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching Red Recaps, and see you all in the next video.